Yeah, well, my name is Frank Keller. I'm from the United States of America, New York City. I was a police captain for 30 years there. And like I said, I came here to visit a woman that somehow found me on Instagram. And I had no intention of being on Instagram. It's my 28-year-old son that said I'm not cool because I'm not on Instagram. So he's the one that set up the whole thing. I said, Christian, knock yourself out. But I don't know how to post anything. Just borrow it from my Facebook page and import all the pictures. But that's when uh, I wasn't reaching out to Kenyan girls or the African girls. They somehow found me. I didn't know how it works. I still don't know how it works. How do you find a guy from America on? Are you trolling? Or are they somehow, some people say algorithms, or maybe if your friends of, I don't know how it works, but, or they recommend to friends, but, it was out of control at first. If I knew this was going to happen, even though I was divorced for 3 years, uh, I was looking for another wife. Uh, when he had a weed through the scammers, best as I could have used of my police knowledge, but even with that, some of them are pretty good at it. So, how was it? Well, my father was a police officer, and I really didn't want to go into being a policeman because I knew he saw a lot of tragic things like I did too. But like I said in our previous interview, I guess maybe mostly because of the person I am, and being a Christian has a lot to do with helping people that are taken advantage of, like exactly what's going on here in Kenya. Um, People, especially older people, that are preyed upon by criminals in America, or children. That happens a lot with children. Children abused. I've reported to some scene of the crime. They call it a domestic disturbance, and I've seen a dead child on the ground, uh, beaten up by the mother's boyfriend or the father. And when I first started, I was called, before I became a captain, there's a lot of calls like that in New York, and that's the kind of thing, when you have a kid that age, when my kids were young, you don't, you don't sleep for nights. It remains with you for months until you catch the person that did a crime, especially if it's a murder, and if they murder somebody's son. Um, you see the mother crying in front of you, and you become obsessed with finding the guy who killed his mother's son, because you see what it does to them. Well, I got married in 1997, I believe it was. So I believe I was married around 20 years. Um, and I have two children. Uh, well, that's not gonna, you're gonna have to edit that part.
Yeah, yeah. So,
No, because I had my kids as soon as I got married, so really, my son's 28, my daughter's 26, so we had them right away, one right after the other. So, I was married quite a few years to a woman from Trinidad. She's a mixture of, her father was from West Africa, and her mother was from Calcutta, India, and that's most of the inhabitants of Trinidad are a mixture of both Indian and West African. So my wife was definitely not white, and I didn't divorce my wife. It was a mutual thing because of infidelity on her part. And even though tried to pray that somehow I could forgive her. It wasn't the first time that it happened, so uh, that marriage was irretrievably broken. There's no way I was going to be still married to a woman that uh, quite a few times was not faithful to me. So that's the reason why it was a mutual decision, I guess. I didn't divorce her like a lot of people think. Um, Once you lose your trust in somebody, they have to earn it back, and that definitely didn't happen. And it was sad. It really affected my kids. It was just a hard thing to get over. How did it go? Well, it went great. Well, when she first reached out to me, and she was a pretty woman, about 35 years old, not a young girl. So she was able to communicate better with me. She seemed intelligent. She was a Christian like me. She even had posted on her Instagram page pictures of, actually videos of her singing in her church. I was impressed by that, and she was impressed with the fact that I had several godly posts on my Instagram page, as well as me standing there speaking to a couple of people. I was involved with a youth ministry in my church back in the USA. And I guess because she was different than any other women that had, like hundreds that had reached out to me, like I had said, some of them wanted plane tickets, didn't even know me, and she seemed real. And by doing the live chat over the phone, I seemed to get to know her better, like I really knew her and I could trust her. But unfortunately, when I got here, it was found that she was not who I thought she was. She was pretty good at being an imposter. And I never thought, as a police captain, that somebody could pull the wool over my eyes. But I didn't go home. I said, God's got me here for a reason. I'm not going to quit. Why did he bring me here? Was it just for that one woman? I don't think so. I still might have further work to do here through either ministry or, you know, we,
Sure.
we can try to plan our futures, but it's God who's ultimately in control. I mean, it says in the Bible that a man can plan his steps carefully, but it is God that has the final say. So I'm still here, but unfortunately, I feel like leaving because the amount of corruption, especially since the last interview I did, now it's trying to turn up the heat on me. I guess to sell me more fear, as a Kenyan would say. And it's not going to work with this guy. I don't scare easily. The more they're get mad and trying to get retribution on me, the more I become resolved that it doesn't matter. You know, I'm not going to let evil triumph over good. Not that I'm perfect. You know, there's no one who's been perfect in the history of the earth. Only Jesus Christ was the only perfect human without sin. So I want to resolve this and see justice done. And I believe that God is in control of that. He even says in the Bible, one of the parts that always comes out to me in my mind, that I it's memorized, but it just kind of sticks in your mind. So he says, don't take revenge for yourself. Don't repay evil for evil. Pray for them. Maybe there's something wrong with them. They're being influenced by the evil one. And it is mine to repay, he says. I will revenge. Don't you take revenge. But unfortunately, these people that are lashing out at me, and it's even gotten worse since the first uh, the first interview has been done. It seems like they're ratcheting up the heat now.
Yeah,
They're harassing me. The apartment that I wasn't allowed back into, that's the one you're talking about?
yeah,
Well, it was being supposedly be resolved. Eventually, I said, this is crazy. I wanted to do all this without a lawyer, but I could see it's impossible here. And I got retained a very good lawyer. And I thought, well, now things might get easier because he reached out to Tyson's management, these people that are trying to embezzle all this money from me, make up these corrupt figures, totally wrong figures that they can't prove, but I have all the proof that I don't owe this money. I guess they thought I was going to buckle under. Who knows how many other people, because I heard they're a very powerful organization. But I'm not going to pay money, especially an inordinate amount of money, a huge amount of money. I understand in this country to get by, sometimes you got to bite the bullet and pay the police 10,000 or whatever, 5,000, whatever they ask for, but not 190,000 when they owe me money. So I don't know what kind of place this is. All I know is maybe I'm doing other people a favor by having the courage to stand up for right over wrong. Yeah, about 8 times. Um, well, not only after the first incident when I was robbed at knife point, uh, they still want you to make an appointment. Although they say if you feel you like a certain, you could go in there without an appointment. I don't see it, but this last time, I knew my passport or my visa, whatever you want to call it, was due to expire in the second week of January, I believe. And I went down there almost a month ahead of time, and they don't let you in. You have to, with the U.S. Embassy, everything is done online. And I'm not the swiftest at doing things online. If my son was here to help me, I could probably have done it, but you have to make an appointment. But the problem was, I did have somebody help me at a cyber, and he said it shows you don't exist with your latest passport. We can't make an appointment because it says no record. And that's the reason I wasn't able to do it online. And I've tried to explain that to them at the embassy. And even people from Kenya immigration, they've even told me that I'm a ghost because my first passport got stolen in the robbery. That was a 3-year passport that I got mailed to me in the U.S. before I came over here. And I had to go through the process of going through the Kenyan website to get a visa. And then when all that was done, I came over here. But it was a 3-year passport, good for 3 years. Now, 6 months after I got here is when I got robbed. That original passport of 3 years was stolen. And I had to go report it to the police, get an abstract, and then get that verified that it was true, that I wasn't making up a story. And that was the only way that I could make an appointment at the U.S. Embassy. When I had all that information, and it took months to get in there to get a replacement passport, but I got a 1-year, it was called temporary passport. So that it was good from January to January, January 23 to January 24. So a month before I knew it was going to expire because it was only a 1-year passport, I went down there several times, and you come to the gate, and there are Kenyan nationals working the gate, and they'll hand you it's such a crazy system, they'll hand you a phone through the gate, and you have to talk to an American inside because you can't get inside without a pass, a an appointment. But you can't make an appointment if you're a ghost. No, seriously, I mean, I'm a ghost, so I can't make it. No matter how hard I've tried, I can't make an appointment. So of course, my passport was going to expire, and I've had these people since this show that I did last threaten. Well, first call me and say, "I'm here to help you. I'm from immigration and down by CBD in your house." And two of them, or three of them actually, I want to help you. I want to help you get your visa renewed or your passport that was expired. And when I told them, well, they wanted to help me supposedly, but they're lying. They want to try to set me up. And I'm smart enough as an ex-captain that I know what the story is. And the last one that called said, "Yeah, I want to meet you somewhere." I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll meet you. And I'll either meet you at my lawyer's office or bring him to where you're at." And when I said that, she became inflamed immediately. Said, and all of a sudden, from going to helping me, it turned to, "We know where you're at. We know your every move. We're going to come get you, arrest you, and deport you." So it was all a big lie. And ever since the last interview aired, it's increased. The harassment has only got worse. It's like they don't want anybody to know the truth, especially about the police. And I was shocked at the amount of corruption that, as a policeman, I can't believe that it's so widespread. That it's like a thing that Kenyans have pretty much accepted, I guess. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm a ghost. Well, I was hoping I heard the job of the U.S. Embassy is to help U.S. citizens when they're in trouble. Well, I'm in trouble here. I got people coming after me. Who knows? Maybe following me. One the lady that called said, "We know where are you. Now that you want, you get your lawyer involved." Oh, it turned from helping me into, "We're coming to get you. We know where you're at." And I said, "Well, if you know where you're at, come get me then. Because I didn't do anything wrong." And she said, "Well, your passport's expired." I said, "Well, that's a crime, and you want to deport me." Maybe that'll be the best case scenario, because I've had enough here. However, I've never been one to run and hide from anything in my life. Maybe I inherited that from my dad, who was a top policeman. But I guess I get a little angry, but more, I don't want to be taken advantage of like the people I used to serve in the city of New York. I used to hate that. And I guess they're ratcheting up the heat. The more they're trying to sell me fear, and I'm not buying it, they're getting madder, and maybe, I don't know what they're doing out there. Who knows what they got planned, but I'm fine with it. I'm just wishing a U.S. Embassy or somebody connected to the embassy or somebody connected to this presidential administration that's in there today that promised that they're going to reduce corruption. That was their main thing, because I got here right before the election. And Mr. Russo's, his main goal, he said, was to reduce corruption. Well, I've been here 2 years, and I can honestly say that I've seen a person get worse. And a country will never prosper when it's full of corruption, threats. You feel like you're under pressure every day, that you got to buy your way out of everything. You don't have to be doing anything wrong just to get by. I guess Kenyans are used to it, but like there are some countries that become prosperous, such as Jamaica, which I've been to several times, and Jamaica's inhabited by the ancestors were from Africa originally, and they are doing fantastic economically. These small islands are inhabited by people that are indigenous to Africa, that came from Africa hundreds of years ago. They're doing so well economically, especially compared to Kenya, because visitors want to go there. That's the number one reason they're doing well economically, is because the police are not shaking down people there. The corruption is not out of control. And I think this country would do well. The weather is beautiful. People are beautiful, but not just women, but the men. I have a lot of Kenyan guys. I mean, they're real people. They maybe admire me. They like me because I'm open, and so are they. And we have a lot of things to talk about. I find them interesting. They certainly find me interesting. They don't meet many white guys that are from America. They want to know about America. And it's funny how I've heard comments, people say, go back to America. Go pack bags and go back to America. I find it pretty ironic that almost every Kenyan woman I meet and Kenyan men ask me, well, you were captain of police. You must know how to get me into America. Everybody here wants to go to America, but they're telling me go back to America. It's pretty funny. And it's everybody's dream here to go to America. But America's got its problems too. Not economically, like this country. I mean, we're a first world country instead of a third world country. There is no corruption with the police. However, when I left there, I said, we're going down a slippery slope because a lot of the Christian values in America are being ignored, and it's heading in the wrong direction. Like right is wrong and wrong has become right. The morality has gone downhill. But I see that in a different way here. Kenyans might not be as moral as a lot of Americans are in certain things, but I guess there's certain things that have been going on years, like it's practically normal. I don't want to get into it, but it's um, things that aren't accepted in our land, but it just seems like, well, it's Kenya. I like that one. Everybody's saying, well, it's Kenya. Do like the Kenyans do. I said, no, no, for over 60 years, I've been brought up in a country where we do things a certain way, and I don't believe you should I've met a few white people here, and I think my frustration, guys that have been here from mostly Holland or places like that, saying, well, you come like a Kenyan and do what the Kenyans do, and have several partners instead of one marriage, and just go with it, If you have these young girls approach you, just be with them, It's okay. And I don't believe in that. But on the flip side, there's things in America that's immoral too. It just seems like there are certain things that are acceptable that have been going on for years, like it's a normal thing. And there's certain things I can't accept as being normal, like having more than one partner, even if you're married, or to share several different women at the same time, like it's a normal thing. I'm not saying all Kenyans think that's right. Like members of my church that are Kenyans, they don't believe in that. We all make mistakes and we stumble and sin, like I said before. We're all born into sin. There was only one sinless one, so we make mistakes. But here what I find funny is it's almost like, hey, it's cool, it's the way we do things. Even from white guys saying, well, I've been here 25 years, and to survive here, you just gotta do like the Romans do.
Or give Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
Exactly.
So,
Well, no, here is more than give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. It's give Caesar more than what belongs to Caesar. Like the police and whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
This company I'm dealing with, these robbers. Well, like I had said, I got here over 2 years ago, and it was right before the election, and I've always been interested in politics back in the U.S., and I would watch it. It's like probably the only thing on Kenyan TV that I watch, on especially KTN. Even though a lot of times they're speaking Swahili, when I first got here, I didn't know anything. I'm still working on how to learn. And I know President Ruto, I felt in my heart that I felt he was the real deal, that he's a real Christian. And his wife's a pastor. And I remember him saying he's going to do away with corruption. That was his number one goal. And I think he's onto something, that this country could maybe go from a third world country to a first world country if people wanted to come here and spend money. Like if Americans came here to spend money because it's a beautiful country. But most Americans are just going to go back home if everybody's going to try to take money out of their pocket. He corrupt. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, they're never going to do well economically until, like the president said, you have to do away with corruption first, because who wants to come to a corrupt country? These countries that make their bread and butter is their tourism, like Jamaica or uh, uh, other, other small islands that do well because people want to travel and visit there. You can't have a good tourism industry, which will boost the economy, by the way. They work hand in hand. I mean, you know how much billions of dollars are brought in through tourists in these little countries that turn their economic situation around, because people want to go there because the weather's beautiful, like here. I mean, you have some beautiful beaches, the safaris you can go on, but once they get a taste of this corruption thing that's so widespread, they don't want to stay here. I mean, why would you? Why would you want to come here? Uh, they're never gonna. People are always gonna be getting paid low wages because it's like a trickle down effect. It's a cyclone. It just goes in circles. Um, People are not gonna make money, and the economy is not gonna improve unless the corruption is done away with. Because who wants to come to a country where they're trying to pick your pocket all the time? And the U.S. Embassy, I would like to say, if anybody is watching there from U.S. Embassy, since I'm a ghost, maybe you can't find me because I'm invisible. But if you're seeing this, anybody here, even if you can relay the message to one of my fellow Americans, that, especially Marines that I've talked to, you know, if you see this, could somebody please defend me, help me out from this constant harassment, the stress that I have to deal with, people calling me up and telling me they're going to deport me, when wasn't my fault that my passport wasn't renewed, because I was a ghost, because my first passport was stolen. After that, I became a ghost. I'm not in the system anywhere. I'm invisible. The Invisible Man, as they say. And there was a movie like that, The Invisible Man. So I'm invisible, I guess. But why don't they, on their webpage, they said they're there to help American citizens that are in trouble. Well, they haven't not only helped me after 8 times there, they have turned me away. Just tell me, go on this specific website, and I've had friends that are good at using websites. Like I said before, I'm not too slick at it. Um, I grew up in an era we didn't have laptops. We didn't have cell phones. So I've had friends help me, but they all say the same thing. No record found. You can't make an appointment to get your um, your passport or your visa renewed and up to date if there's no record found. Even an appointment can't be made. So why can't anybody get that here? If anybody's seeing this out there that can relay this to the embassy, why can't you reach out to KTN News or me? Whatever. I mean, being threatened to be deported when it has. I mean, I could see I had drugged my feet and wasn't responsible, but as ex-U.S. captain of police, I was very good at make sure I did things ahead of time, but it didn't matter that I went down to Gagiri a month ahead of time. They would say, make an appointment. And then when I went to make an appointment on a website, even with help from my friends and the people who work at these two different cybers I go to, he said, well, we can't go any further because you don't exist. So, yeah.